Good morning. First Unitarian Universalist Church is one of the coolest places around, and we have lots going on and lots of opportunities for you to be involved. And I'm going to tell you about a few of those things before we start our formal worship service. Each Sunday, one of our caring companions is designated to be available at the front of the sanctuary after the service to listen to any immediate pastoral needs and to assist you with connecting to additional pastoral support if you would like. Today's caring companion is Roseanne Reeser. Roseanne, could you please stand or wave your arms so we can thank you and folks can identify you after the service? Is Roseanne here? Yeah. She will be. Okay. Everyone is invited for cake and fellowship in House and Hall right after the service to honor and bid farewell to longtime UU volunteer Yusuf Yildirim, who will soon be leaving on a trip around the world to pursue his passions for food and hospitality. In addition, our Rob Ruff, who's a member of our board, is also leaving us. This is his last Sunday with us. And it's also Brett Baldwin's birthday, so we have lots of reasons to eat cake after the service today. Equality Texas will provide a short training session on how we can make our voices heard at the Texas Capitol during this legislative session. Join us from 1 to 2 p.m. in room 13. First, UU welcomes our special musical guests for today. Master fingerstyle guitarist Hiroya Tsukamoto, hailed for his ability to create an orchestra at his fingertips. Tsukamoto's music transcends cultural boundaries, offering audiences a deeply immersive experience filled with emotion and artistry. We at First UU believe in supporting artists, and you may do so today by stopping by Hiroya's merchandise table following the service, and also coming back at 2 p.m. to hear him perform as a featured artist for our Unwound Sound listening series. Our very own Brent Baldwin opens the show, and a free will offering will be gratefully accepted, with all proceeds benefiting the Austin Sanctuary Network, an organization that supports immigrants fleeing violence and those at risk of deportation. Please join Reverend Carrie, Biss, and Aubrey for Vespers on Tuesday. There will be dinner and an exploration of one of our hymns. We'll begin with a vegan meal at 6:30 p.m., just 2 days from now, and we can't wait to learn with you. The annual Austin Crop Hunger Walk is next Sunday afternoon, March 2nd. First UU has participated in this walk for decades. By supporting this event, we can make an immediate impact to help those experiencing hunger in the Austin area and around the world, including refugees. To join the walk or make a donation to the First UU team, visit the social action table in House and Hall or look for crop walk information in the newsletter. Reverend Chris will be taking the next 2 months of his sabbatical beginning March 1st. You can find more information in the Friday newsletter or at austinuu.org. In the case of a truly major emergency, Reverend Michelle and Shannon will have the secret access code for accessing Reverend Chris while he's out. On each Sunday, we light candles in the sanctuary and along the windows to mark sacred moments in our lives. Although we do have a time set aside during worship to note these candle lightings, you are invited to light candles at any time before or during the service when you feel moved to do so. Now let all who have gathered in beloved community, whether in virtual space or in person, join our spirits in worship together.
you.
Good morning. Whether you are joining us online or here in this sanctuary, welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Austin. We are a spiritual community dedicated to a free and responsible search for truth, meaning, and beauty. I am the Reverend Michelle LaGrave, the co-lead interim minister here at First UU. Very happy to be back in the pulpit after having been out for surgery for quite a while. I'm a kinda short white woman wearing a long white flowy shirt this morning and glasses. My pronouns are she and her, and I am really happy to be back. I especially want to welcome all of you for whom this is a new congregation or a new experience. If you are joining us remotely, and if you can, please say hello in the comments and let us know from where you are joining us. We have people coming from all over the country and even sometimes all over the world. And it is fun to know how far our community extends. If you are here in person, please join us for the social hour after worship. And like Angela said, there will be cake. Either way, if you're new, we invite you to fill out the online visitor form at our website, austinuu.org. Click on worship, and then you'll see the links to the form. We would really love to get to know you better if you are willing to share with us that you are here with us in this community today. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whomever your ancestors, whatever your abilities or disabilities, whether you've walked in or rolled in or joined in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. You belong here. We come from a long tradition of seeing a spark of the divine in every person. It is in this tradition, this living tradition, that I invite you to greet the holy among us, either in the comments online or by turning to those around you.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Angela Smith, pronoun she, her, and I have the honor and privilege of being your lay leader today. I am 4 feet 11 inches. I have white long hair, and I'm wearing a red hat. I hope you'll agree it's much more stylish and woke than that red hat that's endorsed by the current resident of the White House. I'm also wearing Cheeto earrings. This was a gift I received on my 80th birthday, which I celebrated this week. There may be snow on the roof, but there's still lots of fire in the furnace. Please join me now in reading words for the lighting of our chalice. This is the flame we hold in our hearts as we strive for justice for everyone. This is the light we shine upon systems of oppression until they are no more. Share with one another as our struggle becomes our salvation. Our call to worship. We gather together. We arrive as individuals, as couples, as families, as neighbors, as friends. We got here by walking, by biking, by riding, by driving, by connecting. We bring with us our joys and sorrows, our laughter and our tears, our worries and our fears, our questions and our beliefs, our ethics and our values. A ceramic mug of coffee sits on a table next to an open laptop, showing many people in Zoom cells. Some of us arrived early this morning, or joined us 10 minutes ago, or encountered obstacles along the way, or will arrive just in time for the sermon, or will sign online later this week or maybe even next month. We are sitting in pews, leaning on walkers or canes, stretching in the aisles, settling in wheelchairs, and relaxing in recliners. We, members, friends, and visitors alike, come from many paths and join together as one congregation to lift up our highest ideals. We have gathered. Now let us worship. Now please rise either in body or spirit and let us sing together number 170 in your gray hymnal, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. And yes, we're going to sing all 6 verses. Or you can choose the verse you like and sing that one 6 times. You don't want to leave anyone out.
are getting a little full today, so please feel free to come on up front if you are looking for some extra seats today. One of the things that binds First UU together as a religious community is that this congregation has a common purpose. For First UU Church of Austin, that common purpose is the mission. The congregation wrote it together and put it up on the wall in the sanctuary. Every Sunday, we say it together so that we may more readily carry it with us in our hearts throughout the week. Let us say it together now. Together, we nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice to build the beloved community. We are so grateful for our very special guest musician today, Hiroya Tsukamoto. And if you would like to hear more of his beautiful music, you can come back again this afternoon at 2 o'clock as part of our Unwound Sound concert. Brent, can you tell us? Well, first of all, let's say, happy birthday, Brent. Brent, can you tell us, for those of us who don't know, what is Unwound Sound and why should we come back at 2 o'clock?
Well, why you should come back is, come on. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brent Baldwin. I'm the director of music here at First Unitarian Universalist Church. He, him pronouns. I'm wearing all white today because that's all I have. Unwound Sound is a nonprofit arts organization in residence here at First UU. We do a listening series throughout the year. 2 o'clock today is our very next one with Hiroya. And we also do events around town. We do our indie orchestra project at Austin PBS and our punk rock holiday concert at the Long Center and all sorts of things. And one of our passions, sorry, I'm getting my notes back open. We are very proud to be in residence here at First Unitarian Universalist Church because we very strongly align with the values espoused by this mission, by the people who come here. And to that extent, we are very energized and excited about partnering with nonprofits and local charities in Central Texas that are often plucked straight from the 12 organizations that this congregation chooses to support through its second Sunday offerings. And of course, this month was that recipient was Austin Sanctuary Network, and therefore we decided that the free will offering would go to that organization today. That's kind of a messy description of what we do, but will that do?
That will do.
All right, thank you.
We're very excited. And now it is time for all ages. So all of you who are young or young at heart or, just want to be able to have a good view of the dolls we have up here, come on up and join me right around the table here. It's your birthday too. Yay, happy birthday. Come on up. You could sit anywhere on the chancel. I'm going to pass several of them around. Some are boys, some are girls, some are non-binary. We've got everybody up here. Yeah. Like Brent, this is the Brent doll. Yes. We have one person who wants to play the guitar someday. So what we're going to talk about today is something called disability. Now, the word disability is a little problematic because it means that we're comparing people against other people. We're saying some people are able and some people are disabled. But for now, we're going to go with it because it makes comparing easier and learning and understanding. So I am a person with disabilities, and I refer to myself as disabled, and that means that there are some things that I cannot do that almost everybody else can. Not everybody else, but almost everybody else can. And I have trouble doing some of the things with the way the world is built right now. So lots of times you have to go upstairs, for example, to get in a building, but I can't go upstairs. So if I get to a building with a bunch of stairs, that means I'm left out, which isn't very fair, right? So I want to talk about disability a little bit by using these dolls. First question, can you tell who is disabled by looking at them? Yep. So there are some dolls, some people you could tell are disabled by looking at them. It might be because they have special equipment, or it might be because of the way they look. So let's talk about this one right here to start. She is blind, and the way we can tell is not so much by looking at her, although you can tell her eyes are kind of unfocused and looking off in the distance. Her name is Sarah, and she has low vision. That means she can see a little bit, but most of the things she can't see. And in order to get around, she uses a guide stick. Yep, it's white with red at the bottom and then a ball on the tip. And she makes that go back and forth in order to make sure she doesn't bump into anything. Most of the time, she's very independent and gets around all by herself. But sometimes she asks for help, and she has somebody guide her around, and then what she does is put her hand on their shoulder, and they lead her where she would like to go. Some things that we can do to help her at church are having signs that are written in Braille. She can read by using Braille, and she can sing by reading a Braille hymn book. She has also learned how to read by using audiobooks as well. So when we're thinking about doing things at church, we need to think about all the different ways people are in the world and can do things and can learn. So let's pass her around. You could take a look at her. Make sure everybody gets a turn. You can pass if you want to. Here's a little girl. She has something called scoliosis. Her name is Jane, and she has a back brace on. It means that the bones in her spine are curved. They don't go in the usual way, and it makes it difficult and sometimes painful for her to bend her back. So this brace is helping her to grow up with a straighter back, so she'll be able to do more things. Let's see. Angela, can I have the one with white hair? Right down here. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Some of us sitting up here might have disabilities as well. Now, can anyone guess what her disability is by looking at her? What? She does have white hair, which means she's a little bit older, and so she might have some different abilities because of aging. But mostly we can't really tell what's going on with her by looking at her, which means she has something called invisible disabilities. This doll's name is Anne, and she has something called fibromyalgia, which means that her muscles and her joints hurt and ache a lot, and she gets tired really easily. Some days she can do anything she wants. Other days she has to rest a lot. So sometimes disabilities aren't the same every day. We can't always tell how someone is doing consistently. You can be more or less disabled one day than you are another day, or 1 week or 1 month than another month. Okay, let's do that one in the wheelchair with the service dog. Yeah. So this person has trouble moving her lower legs. She has very little strength. She can stand up a little bit, but that's about it. And she has a service dog. Her name is Amaya. And you can see her service dog has her phone in her mouth. When she was using her phone dropped, And so she asked the service dog, gave the service dog a command to fetch the phone, and the service dog did and is going to hand it to her. And you can see she's wearing a little treat pouch around her waist with a bone in it. So once the dog gives her the phone, she gives the dog a treat in exchange. Oh, I got them from all different places. A few I bought in the store, but a lot I bought used and cleaned up. Someone asked where I got all these Barbies from. Let's do this guy next. Yeah. So his name is Jamar. And if you look closely, you can see that he is wearing hearing aids on each side of his head. So that gives us a clue that he has trouble hearing. And when we talk with him, it can be helpful to look directly at him and make eye contact, if we can, so that he can read our lips and hear what we're saying, especially if we take time to speak clearly and not too quickly. So, speaking of hearing trouble, did anyone notice anything different about our chalice lighting this morning? What? There was. Linda Eldridge. Yay, Linda. I think she's here. Made some special videos for us. She is fluent in ASL, American Sign Language, and she made some videos with us so that people who know ASL can join in more easily in doing our chalice lighting, doing our mission, and doing our extinguishing of our chalice. So I'm going to pass him around, and you can see that there are many other dolls and many other ways of being in the world. But what the main point I want to make this morning is that there's not just one way to be a person or one way to have abilities. Some people have a way in which their body works a little differently. Some people, like this person, has a little bit different way of having how their brain works. She has some trouble with learning. Other people have some trouble with focusing in the same way. Some people have trouble with their mental or emotional health. These are a lot of things that I'll pass her around too. Her glasses might fall off. That might be difficult to see outwardly. Yeah, she can wear the glasses. That's okay. So when we're here at church, one of the things we want to do when we're planning classes and social justice events and worship services and all the things we do at church is think about ways in which we could make more and more people welcome. More and more people feel like they belong. More and more people feel like they are being seen and heard and paid attention to and included in everything we do. Sometimes, like with this story, or with the hymn with 6 verses, or maybe 7 that we just sang, it might take a little bit longer. But you know what? It's worth it in the end. So I hope you will join me in putting thinking hats on and planning hats on and helping everybody to feel welcome here at church. Thank you all for being with me this morning and listening and playing with dolls. It was fun to see you. What's that? Yeah, it's around here. It's coming around. Let's keep passing the stuff around, and then when we're done, we can put the dolls up on the table, and we're going to sing you out to the playground for those of you who are going to the playground today, and the rest of you who are not might be staying with your parents. But let's start our singing.
This is the time during the service when we commit to the mission and ministries of this church and demonstrate that commitment by making an offering. We give out of our own so that together we might build a better world. If you're visiting with us today, please allow the plate to pass you by. You are our guest. You can give in a few different ways by going to austinuu.org and clicking on the link at the top right side of the page, or by texting your contributions to 84321, or by placing an offering in the basket the ushers are now ready to pass. Here in the sanctuary, the ushers will now collect our offering. All blessings on your gifts, and all blessings on you as givers. Our first reading today is from Micah 6, verses 6 to 8. Micah asks on behalf of the people, "With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul?" And Micah answers on behalf of God. "He has told you, O mortal, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God?" The second reading is from Maya Angelou. "History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream."
I invite you now into a time of meditation. Find a comfortable place in your seats. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Take a deep breath in. And let us join together in all of the ways in which our bodies and our minds work in meditation. Let us center ourselves together. let us breathe together. In and out. Out and in. And while breathing together, let us sense one another's loving presence. Breathing in, breathing out, we follow our breath to a deeper place inside, a place of greater wisdom, a place where a spark of the divine resides within each of us. And as we continue to breathe together and enter into that deeper place inside, let us also enter into a time of sacred silence or quiet, knowing that nowhere in the world is it fully silent. I invite you now to light a candle if you are so moved. Candles representing sorrow, joy, hope, remembrance, resilience, whatever it is that you need to honor during this time. And as we light candles, I invite you to keep in your mind and heart members of our community who are ill or in sorrow, including Mike Harris, who is in Houston for a heart study right now, as well as those who are celebrating joys or big transitions, which are both sorrowful and joyful all at the same time. And as we light candles, let us hold this silence together throughout this meditative time. And now we light one last candle for all those for whom there is no one to light a candle. Micah was a prophet who lived in ancient Israel during the 8th century BCE. His hometown was a small village called Moresheth, not too far from Jerusalem, and he lived in a time of rapid change, much like we are today. Commerce was expanding. Trade was increasingly moving away from a barter system and toward a monetary system. Fraudulent weights and measures had become common. Land was being accumulated in large quantities by the hands of wealthy landowners and at the expense of small farmers. And the gap between rich and poor was increasing greatly and rapidly. The powerful dictated what they desired. Judges and other officials are taking bribes. People are lying. And families are falling apart due to lack of trust in each other. Does any of this sound familiar? Micah lived during a time of rising power, wealth, and corruption. And so he went out into the marketplace and prophesied. During ancient times, people brought other people to court for breach of covenant and were heard by a judge. In Micah, as elsewhere in the Hebrew scriptures, God brought the people of ancient Israel to court and indicted them for breach of covenant with the mountains, the hills, and the earth for witnesses, similar to the ways in which human courts worked. In God's case, they were out of covenant, out of right relationship with God. Of what were the people guilty? Of injustice. Injustice in the land was flourishing. And so the people cried out, as we still tend to do during a crisis, atheist or not, and ask, what does God want from me? What do you want from me, world, universe? What do you want from us? How much would you take from us? Everything we have and more? And Micah reminded the people that God has already told them what is good, what is required of them. And that is to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with their God. Micah's story is an age-old story and one we are in many ways reliving today, though now the threat of our own government comes from within and not from the Assyrian Empire. And Micah's answer to the people is still a good one, a good lesson for us today. We are to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly, which in, 3,000 years ago language meant remain in covenant. Walk humbly, remain in covenant with the holy. So today I'd like to talk just a little bit about why it is we do justice as Unitarian Universalists. At least enough to establish that doing justice is well within our living tradition. Micah is only one of many examples from the Hebrew Scriptures, which are sacred to both Judaism and Christianity, of justice seeking as a requirement of being in right relationship with the divine. Jesus' ministry as well was a liberatory one, and his teachings are foundational to Unitarianism and Universalism, which both emerged out of Christianity. Over time, our theological underpinnings have expanded as more and more people have joined us from more and more faith traditions and backgrounds, and as we have continued to grow in our spiritual and theological understandings. Today, justice is one of Unitarian Universalism's shared values. We have covenanted with each other, congregation to congregation, to work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive, to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression, and to support the use of inclusive democratic processes within our congregations, our association, and society at large. That's right in our bylaws, in our Unitarian Universalist Association's bylaws. Finally, let us not forget that doing justice is right up there on our wall in this congregation's mission statement. Together, we nourish souls, transform lives, and do justice to build the beloved community. So having established that we are indeed a justice-seeking, justice-building, justice-creating, justice-making people, let's talk a bit more about who it is that does or does not do all of this justice-making and how it gets done. At times, I'm a little sad to say this, it seems that within Unitarian Universalism, and I imagine elsewhere, the loudest voices for justice are all about marches and protests and visiting legislators at the Capitol and sit-ins and die-ins and civil disobedience that results in arrest. Do you know what all these have in common? Anyone want to guess? They require people to either be able-bodied, or to put their disabled bodies on the line at a much higher risk than is generally taken by non-disabled people. Yes, that includes even visiting legislators at the Capitol. I tried to do this once. Earlier during my time here in Austin, I wanted to visit the Texas State Capitol. So, being physically disabled, I did my usual research into what I would need to know to visit a new place I had never been. First, I found out that there was a special webpage called Capitol Accessibility Services with all of the information that I would need. And right at the top of that page was an assurance that all Capitol Extension, and Capitol Visitor Center facilities are accessible to persons with disabilities, as well as a link to an accessibility guide. Great, we're off to a good start here. Then, with further reading, I discovered that it was actually a considerable distance to walk from the parking garage to the building where I wanted to go, and an even farther walk from that garage to the only accessible entrance to that building, which was actually on the other, farther side from the garage. In other words, I'd have to walk all the way around the outside of the building to get inside without using any stairs or very many stairs. Then I thought, well, I can rent a motorized scooter for the day. Most recently, I often use a rollator, but I have often used motorized scooters at large events and in large stores, though I don't actually own one myself. No problem, I thought. There are rental places which will deliver a scooter to my destination. I don't even have to figure out how to transport it there myself. And then I read, motorized scooters are not allowed on the Capitol grounds. Okay, now that's out too. So how am I supposed to get into the Capitol? So I kept reading. A wheelchair was the last option. To get it, I would have to walk from the parking garage to the visitor center, which was in the opposite direction of the Capitol building itself, get the wheelchair, and then wheel myself back past the parking garage and all the way around the Capitol building and to the other side to go in the accessible entrance. There was no way. I don't have the arm strength for that. That's why we have motorized scooters in addition to wheelchairs. And then I realized that the only possible way I, or anyone with limited leg mobility and arm strength, could go to the Capitol was to be pushed in a wheelchair by someone else. My spouse, Micah, was unable to take me on that particular day, and it was too late at night to call by that time and make arrangements with anyone else. Besides, I wondered, who could I ask? Who would be willing? I mean, it's a pretty big ask to call someone and ask them to spend the entire day with you, pushing you around in a wheelchair. And what do people who don't have anyone in their life who could help them do? And what about all the people who can only use a motorized scooter? There is no circumstance under which they could make a visit to the Capitol. Despite the website's promises, this was not and is not accessibility. I share this story not to get you all fired up and headed down to the Capitol to demand change on my or any disabled person's behalf, but to give a glimpse into just a very little slice of only one person's disabled life on only one evening, trying to plan only one outing. There are many, many more stories out there with different or worse or better experiences than mine. And there are many, many more of my own stories that I could share. But I chose this one because in it, I was attempting to do justice while being disabled. People who are disabled need to be more than the subjects of doing justice. We need to also be full participants in justice making. The point I want to make today is that there are as many ways of doing justice as there are of being human. So many people are living in even greater than usual risk in this country today, primarily people who are undocumented and people who are transgender, and also people who are BIPOC, LGBTQ+, and disabled, as well as anyone who has a uterus and is able to get pregnant. We are living in a time of rising fascism, and we are going to need as many people as possible doing justice. So it's time to put away any of the old ideas about what it means to do justice the right way, or the best way, or the only way. We need lots of different kinds of justice making, and we need justice making and justice doing to be as accessible as possible. Some common justice making actions are already pretty accessible to a lot, if not all people. Things like writing letters or making phone calls. There was a great example of a letter from one of our congregants, Denise Pierce, going around lately. In it, she called for a company, in a very positive way, to increase the accessibility of their website. She explained that she loved the company, really wanted to shop there, and why she wanted to shop there, and then said that she would need them to make it more accessible for her in order for it to work. There are lots of different ways, new or different ways, that we can think about making justice making more accessible. People can help with digital security, or giving rides, or digital communication, or preparing food for justice organizers and events, and many, many other ways. We need to start thinking outside of the box. Remember, we don't have to make the entirety of any action or event fully accessible to everyone. That would be near impossible. But we can make different components of justice actions or events accessible in various ways for various needs, so that more and more people are able to engage in a piece of the work. The duty, the imperative of doing justice in these times. So here are just a few tips for how we can help to make this happen, just to get started. The first thing we need to do is accept that no one can fully know what it is like to live in another person's body or to live another person's life. Each of us has the right to determine the level of personal risk we are willing to undertake or not in any justice making, justice doing we take on. And no one else has the right to make judgments about whether or not someone else should have taken more or less personal risk, bodily or otherwise. And this goes for everyone, not just disabled folks. The second thing we need to do is to take care of our spiritual and emotional selves. We are facing tactics that are intentionally meant to overwhelm us or shut us down or cause us to freeze. We have a responsibility, a moral duty to deal with the overwhelm so we can get unstuck and get moving in whatever ways we can and in whatever ways we do best. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Give each other as much of a chance as possible to get unstuck and get unfrozen and get moving. We need as many of us to join the resistance as is possible. Every person and every action counts. No fake fights about our justice making or anything else that might serve as a diversion from the moral, ethical, theological, and spiritual imperative to do justice. The third thing we need to do is pay attention to inclusion in any of the social justice actions or events we are planning. If someone can't march or sit or stand or hear or see or walk or whatever else it is very well, what can they do? If someone is in a greater risk category because they are undocumented or black or queer or all of the above or some combination of the above, what might they need to do better? What might they need to better or more fully participate? We might not know. And if we don't know, let's make the effort to find out. So to recap, these are my 3 getting started tips. Number 1, we each get to assess our own level of personal risk. No second guessing by anyone else. Number 2, we need to take care of ourselves and each other so we can, if possible, get unstuck and live up to our responsibility to do justice. And number 3, pay attention to inclusion in any social justice events or actions we are planning. By keeping love at the center, we can continue to widen the circle of concern farther and farther. And by including more and more people in the work of justice making, we can do more justice. As Maya Angelou says, let us give birth once again to the dream. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be. Now let us rise either in body or spirit, and let us sing together number 6, just as long as I have breath.
Thank you, Reverend Michelle, for a wonderful sermon. We're so happy you're back. And I don't know about you, but I'm a little pissed off that we have a disabled governor who has not placed priority on better accessibility. Please join me now in the words by which we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
In all of the ways that our bodies and our minds work, both literal and metaphorical, I say to you, go now in peace, with love in your hearts, kindness on your lips, and compassion at your fingertips, blessing all others as you yourselves are now blessed. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you.